Hey, my name is Maurice. I'm a technical writer working here at GroundX, and today I'm going to walk you through on how to build your own chatbot that is powered by GroundX and integrated with ChatGPT. Let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is get our API key. To get that, we go to the GroundX dashboard. You can go to the dashboard through groundx.ai and logging in. And here we go down and find the API key section. Here you can simply copy your API key. You can create a new one also. And now we want to go to the documentation to check out the API reference guide. Here we're going to check the endpoints that we will use for this chatbot. And mainly we used here the search endpoint. Through this endpoint, we indicate the buckets or the project we want to search through. And we also hand to GroundX the query that we're making. So this is the main endpoint, and the response from this endpoint is what we're going to want to hand over to ChatGPT. Specifically, we're going to want to pass on to it this text element right here. We'll explain that as we go on. And in this chatbot, we also use the buckets endpoint to get a list of all the available buckets in our account. And we also used the documents lookup endpoint to get a list of all the documents contained within the bucket we had selected. Okay, and then we're going to want to head on to OpenAI. In our case, since we're using ChatGPT, you could use any large language model of your choice. Okay, so we log in to the OpenAI page. We choose API. To get your key, you can go right over here to the side panel, choose API keys, and here you can create a new key, you copy it, and then we want to go to documentation, and we're going to the API reference. And here we're going to use this endpoint here, the create chat completion endpoint. We already have a model of this for our code that'll help us simplify things a bit, but it's always good to read the documentation. Okay, let's get going to our code and see how we can put all of this together. All right, so we're going to put together these two APIs, the GroundX Search API. So we're going to import the SDK, and we're also going to import the OpenAI SDK to use the chat completion API. We're also going to import the .env library because we have our API keys stored in our .env file. And so we're setting up our environment. And here we're going to initiate GroundX. And here Copilot gives us some help, but we're just going to be extra sure because sometimes Copilot makes some mistakes. So I made a mistake there too. Okay, there we go. And API key. And there we get the API key from the .env file. And the same for OpenAI. We initiate OpenAI and we get the API key from our .env file. Let's erase that. And we're going to set our variables, the bucket ID. We're going to insert this manually. And then we're going to set also the number of results GroundX returns. And we're going to set up the query that we're going to ask GroundX. And now let's make the GroundX API request. SDK here helps us find the correct parameters. And now let's do the request body, the ID. We use the bucket ID variable query. We're going to add that query string there, variable that we declared above. And the same for the number of results returned. Okay, and we're going to want to place the response within this variable, and we're just going to want to take this specific element from the response, search that text, and we're going to want to test this out. So we're going to do a console log, and let's open up the terminal. There it is. and it's node test.js. Okay, and there it is. That's the search query result returned by GroundX. And this is what we're going to pass on to ChatGPT. So let's just erase this. And now let's do the OpenAI request chat completions.create. And now we're going to set up that request body. And let's get this. How was this? Okay. So first we're going to add that model. And here we're going to choose the GPT 3.5 Turbo for this tutorial. And now we're going to add this messages array right here. Okay, so what goes first? The role here is the system. This is what PT is going to be doing on its side. So here we're going to, in this content element, we're going to tell ChatGPT what it has to do. We're going to give it some instructions. So we're going to ask it to only respond with the content below. And if it doesn't find the information, we're going to ask it to say that it doesn't have sufficient information. And we're going to add this LLM text variable we have up there. And so we're going to pass on the GroundX results through there. And now we put the user role. And this is what we're going to pretty much ask on our side. And what we're going to ask is we're going to use the same query. You can put something else here, but we're going to use the same query. How many workers walked to work in the Bay Area? And so we expect ChatGPT to generate a response using the GroundX search results. That big chunk of text that we saw before. That's what we're going to pass. And let's fix this. Okay, there. Looks good. And now we're going to do a console log. And here we have to put the GPT response and choose choices, the first element of the array. Okay, perfect. And now message dot content. Perfect. And let's fix this up a bit. Okay, nice. Okay, let's open up the terminal and run this the script. Node test.js. Perfect. And there it is. There's the answer. In the Bay Area between 2005 2007, 70,287 people walked to work. That's pretty much the same answer we got at the beginning with our chatbot. All right, and that's it. In less than 10 minutes, we've set up our own chatbot with just 2 API calls, GroundX's search and ChatGPT's chat completions. So that's all there is to it. It's really simple, and you get accurate, detailed responses that are grounded on fact, and you avoid the whole hallucination trap that most RAG apps fall into. Now, if you want more specifics about the search API, you can go to our documentation or view our videos. And just a quick heads up, here in the number of results returned, we limited it to 5. This is because ChatGPT has a limit in the amount of tokens or words that it receives. So we limited it here manually, but you can also do this automatically. You can calculate how many tokens are in your response, and then just divide it accordingly and pass it on to ChatGPT or whatever LLM you choose to work with. Okay, and in the rest of this video, we're just going to go over how to connect all of this to your front end. It's just very basic programming stuff, and that's pretty much it. Okay, welcome to GroundX, and let's get started making awesome apps